Let's talk about 100K not being any money in today's time, right? So I've seen this conversation 1,000 times on TikTok that $100,000 salary is not any money nowadays. And I just can't get behind that. I really can't. Have things gone up? Yes. Cars are through the roof, brand new and used. They're through the roof. Houses. I mean, my house alone has almost doubled in this economy as far as equity. And it might not stay, but my house won't go down from what I purchased. But it might not stay that. But yes, houses are up ridiculously. Everything. Everything is up ridiculously. Yes. But still, is $100,000 not any money today? I can't get down with that. It is. $100,000 is still a strong $100,000. I don't see it as if you're making $100,000 and you're not, what's the word that I'm looking for? $100,000 and you're not, your head isn't above water. Something is going on. I'm sorry. Something else is going on. Whether it be you got one of these $1,500 car payments with the $2,300 rent and or mortgage. I don't see how you're not making $100,000. I'm talking just 100,000. No more. I don't see how you're not making it in this economy. Now, there are factors that would determine that if if it's really that tough for you. But for the most part, unless you're in particular locations, the major cities, which we only have a handful of those, they're not spread out around the country. LA, San Francisco, maybe, Chicago, New York, DC, Miami, Houston. Not even Houston. I can't even go there because Houston's really cheap. Not really cheap, but it's cheaper than the major cities, but it also is a major city itself. But unless you're in the major metropolitan areas, I don't see how people aren't making it in Boise, Idaho, $100,000. I don't see how you're not making it in Charleston, West Virginia, $100,000. Little Rock, Arkansas, even Las Vegas, $100,000 is still a strong income. Now I remember I'm in Richmond, Virginia. I'm outside of Richmond, Virginia. And I remember growing up, like it was almost a goal when I was in my 20s. So early 20s, let's say 2002, 2003, it was a goal to get to $18 an hour. If you got to $18 an hour, it was like, okay, yeah, I feel solid now. I'm good. You got over 20, it's like, I can make it. I definitely can make it. Rent back then was a lot cheaper. It was a lot better. Yes. And yes, you have to factor in the rent. The rent has gone up crazy too. But if I think about it, back then, getting to $50,000 in the Richmond, Virginia area, your head was well above water, right? And when I think of today, 2025, if I was making $50,000 for a single person, I guess you'd say, could your head still be above water? I say absolutely. Absolutely. And that's with the rent going up several $100s here. I do maintenance. I'm a regional at a maintenance company, at a property management company. I'm a regional maintenance manager. And our best building in Richmond, a one bedroom is the biggest one bedroom, I think is about 1,800, which is absolutely ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I get that. But A single person making $50,000 can still afford that easily. A single person making $100,000, there's no way you shouldn't be able to afford that. That's your building, actually. That's where you should be. That's almost at the top. Nice apartment, nice furnished. $100,000, yeah, there's no way. Now, when you start factoring in kids, yeah, things get different. But is it still doable? I think so. I think so. There are sacrifices that need to be made that we as Americans, we don't like to do. That's why China is so powerful right now, because of the sacrifices that we don't want to make. What's that sacrifice? Stop spending. We don't want to stop spending. That is literally the key to everything. Stop spending. When people say they're upside down in this and they can't afford that, I tell them, close your Amazon account. Close it. Shut it down. Don't buy anything, any other useless thing, unless it's a bare essential. Don't buy it. Now, before I started making good money and before my wife started making good money, me and her together was doing 70,000 together, mind you, with 6 kids total. My youngest son belonged to me and my late wife. I brought 3 kids to the marriage. She brought 2 kids to the marriage. So it was 6 total once my youngest son was born. And we were doing it off of $70,000, maybe a little bit less than that, maybe about 60,000 when we first moved into Richmond, when I actually lived in Richmond. The rent was $849 or $850. And it was a 4-bedroom house in 2015. So, and that house needed some work, man. It was cold. I remember the gas bill got up to like $600-700 a month, and I could not afford it. All I could do was put the bare minimum on it. I think I said my budget was $200 a month, and that's all I can put on it. And then as soon as summertime got around, I was able to knock it back down for the next winter, and then it crept back up because the house would leak like a sieve. No insulation underneath the house. All the doors were bad. All the windows were bad. Okay, so but we had to keep it heated. We had kids in there. I had to turn the heat on. And even in those times, us doing about 65, 70 together, we still did all right. One of the secrets, what people don't want to do today, we didn't eat out a lot. My wife loved to cook, and she honed her cooking skills to the point where she could whip up a dish. I'm not talking she's slaving over the stove, but it was always delicious. And she could whip up a dish so fast for everybody, boom, it's done. I'm talking no more than an hour. And I'm talking actual cooking, because being that I'm by myself now and my wife passed, I know for a fact most of y'all are just pressing buttons and throwing food in the oven if you're cooking at home. If you're cooking at home. It doesn't take that long to whip up a meal at home, especially in this day and age. You can just pop something in the oven. So there was a guy that I seen on TikTok that went over his DoorDash bill. That man said in 2024, he spent over $11,000 on DoorDash. And as much as I see Uber Eats and DoorDash driving around, that's where your money's going. Even if you are making $100,000, because a lot of the people in my affluent building, I call it affluent, but where the rent is high, a lot of the people in that building are work from home techie types. They can do all their whole job from a Zoom meeting. And DoorDash stays at the front door constantly. That whole area, people know it, Scott's Addition in Richmond, that whole area is a DoorDash area, okay? And if you can't make it in a city like Richmond, which is not a big city, it's not like Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte, North Carolina is becoming a big city. Richmond is a moderate city. When you look at other cities around the country, it's comparable to. And actually, our rent is kind of high here for what we have, for the jobs that we have, especially. So in a place like Richmond, if you can't make it with $100,000, I don't know what to tell you. I do fine with two kids in the house. I pay all the bills by myself, cars and everything, cars insurance, life insurance, everything. And I still have money left over. Now, I admit, I don't eat out. This week, I think I ate out like 3 times, and that's crazy for me. That's crazy. I will drive home. I'd rather spend the gas to drive home and come and make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's a running joke at work. They say, hey, where we're going to eat? I tell them, you know where I'm going to eat? At home, peanut butter and jelly. Because I already bought it. I already got it. So why would I got food at home. That's why you go grocery shopping. I got food, or make your meal and bring it to work if you're not going to go home or whatever. I could do that, but it's like I just don't understand how people come to this conclusion that $100,000 is not a lot of money. Oh, and then on top of that, most people don't even make $100,000 who are saying $100,000 is not a lot of money. Y'all don't even make it. So how can you say it's not a lot of money? Like, as a society, because we have an issue with spending, which is the biggest part of it, hands down. If you get sick, yeah, things happen. Or that goes into spending when you buy a car that is, got a $2,000 car note. I don't understand that. I got 2 cars that I pay on. My pickup truck and my car, and then I got another car. My pickup truck and my car together isn't even $500. They're older, but still, it's like that's part of the American. I guess you would call that's part of the American dream, is keeping up with the Joneses. That's what we do. We have to keep up. If your neighbor across the street buys a 2025, we got to go buy a 2025 too. They got it, we got it. We can't be left behind. That is what causes $100,000 not to be money, not to be good money. That right there. The second you stop worrying about what the next person got, how they got theirs first, and they got this year's model. The second you stop worrying about that, all that pressure goes away. But unfortunately, we're in a spot where it's like, no matter what, we have to keep up with what everybody else is doing. I love cameras. I got cameras. I love cameras, right? I love lenses. My cameras now are old and outdated technically. Not really, but technically. Because, these ones are current models. When I say current, I mean within the last 2 years. And I'm pretty sure their predecessors are coming. This one already has its predecessor out, but it works just fine. Okay. And no need to even talk about what they are. I spent a lot of money on them too. And I love to buy cameras and things like that, but this is what the purpose of them is for. But they'll tell you, the newest, greatest is so much better than the old one. And that makes you want to go out and do what you got to do to purchase the next new one. Now, I mean, to a degree, we kind of have that luxury in the United States to where we can do such things. And I try my best not to crap on people for the things that they want. If you want it, by all means, go get it. There's nothing wrong with you going to go get what you want. My problem usually comes in when you have circumvented your responsibilities to then get that thing. Like, for instance, and this has been my pet peeve for a long time. And I understand circumstances are different before I say it. I understand circumstances are different for different people, but for the majority of people, this usually how it plays out. Okay. You go buy your dream car. It's expensive, whether it be an Escalade, a Corvette, a Nissan GTR, whatever. You go buy your dream car. My problem is you go park it at an apartment complex. That's my problem. You spend, let's say it's the new Z06. You spent over $100,000 to park it at an apartment complex. Now I understand some people is like, hey, I have no need to buy a house. I'm free. I'm flowing. I can buy this car. I get that, but that's not usually the case. Usually the case is you went straight for the dream and didn't take care of your priorities. Because let's say you got a child, you need to put them in a house. You need to, that car is going to depreciate. So that's usually my problem. My only problem when it comes to people getting what they want. Get what you want by all means, but don't circumvent your responsibilities to get what you want, if that makes any sense. So that makes you more fiscally responsible when you do it that way. But as we're going through life, the thing too is you can't take it with you. So you do need to spoil yourself. So that's why I'm not into bashing people for spending the money, right? So if $100,000, if you're a single person, you make $100,000 and you're living your life exactly, every day is a blast for you. Don't come online and complain that, you can't do X, Y, Z. Because everybody technically can, because you can plan for it, save for it, and then get what you want, right? So that's usually how it goes. And that's usually my main gripe to how it goes, is if you're spending your money and then coming online to complain that you spent your money. That part just doesn't make sense to me.